Yo, what's up? Hey, what's happening? What's happening? What's happening? Hey, it's your man in the 100 grand Doc G. And the older I get, the more I start to look at how things are, and I start to question things. You know, anybody with a grain of intelligence would question, what is, and that goes for everything. So basically, you know, I've been questioning why is there such a divide between men and women nowadays? Keep in mind, once upon a time, it wasn't that complicated. It really wasn't that complicated. Men knew who they had to be in order to be considered a man. Men knew that it's a certain amount of work you got to put in to be a man. It's a certain type of characteristics that you have to call yourself a man. You know, as are women. Women knew exactly who to be as women. They knew how to carry themselves as women. They knew how to be respectable as women. You know, there was no questions. There was no confusion or any of that. It was very clear cut what a man was and what a woman was. But modern day, it's a lot of confusion between the genders. And personally, I think that social media and the news and the powers that be, I think personally that this was done on purpose. Like the confusion between men and women. Let me explain. The feminist movement, the first wave feminist movement was started in the 1950s. It was started in the 1950s, and it made sense at the time to an extent because, you know, it was about women getting the right to work, getting the right to vote just like men, and all of that stuff, and that made complete sense, and I respect that, to be honest. Women should have the right to vote. Women should be able to work and all of that shit. I understand that and I get that. But what the feminist movement has become today has become outright like hatred for men. You know, it's become outright hatred for men, and they get away with a lot of the shit that they say. And a lot of the shit that they do, and you know, and a lot of in what was a movement that was meant for good intentions has rapidly become a hate group, damn near. So in response, men got tired of getting beat up by feminist women and being called all kinds of names and being disenfranchised by these feminist women. So they answered with a response, and that response was MGTOW, men going their own way and just saying fuck it and just leaving traditional marriages and traditional relationships and society and all of that and chivalry. So MGTOW, the men's rights movement, all of that shit started to happen as a result of third wave feminism. Keep in mind, third wave feminism isn't anything like first wave feminism. Third wave feminism is straight up hate. It ain't about equality, it's about superiority with third wave feminism. And a lot of old school feminists will tell you that. And a lot of old school feminists don't even agree with the shit that modern feminists are on at all. So there's that. On top of that, I think it's a huge divide now between men and women because certain companies can make money off of the division of the American family. keep in mind, and you can Google this when you get a chance. I'm on Google right now. Basically, there are more consumers and there are more consumers amongst single people than there are amongst couples. You can sell more to a single person than you can sell to a family. So there's that. They can sell more shit to people if you're single. And on top of that, they break up the family for a lot of reasons. Keep in mind, the Rockefellers invested in feminism. They invested in feminism, and let me read this post that mentions that. So, for many years, feminism has been an agenda. It was obvious that it was a man hate movement masquerading as equality. But not so long ago, it was discovered from a man who used to be friends with one of the Rockefellers that the Rockefellers funded feminism in the 1960s for the purpose of creating a battle of the sexes to get women into work so they could be taxed and to cause conflict between genders. They wanted fathers out the way and wanted to make women independent. But when you think about it, many women today are dependent on the state. Keep that shit in mind. If many women are dependent on the state, then they're not really independent, are they? What the Rockefellers wanted was to make women dependent on the state instead of their husbands. Now, keep in mind, they did this for a reason. The Rockefellers did this for a reason. They sponsored feminism for a reason. And that way they could sell more to single women, because single women period, are the biggest consumers in the nation. Hell, fuck it, the world. So it's crazy, man. It's like people are making it weird now. People are like, well, I'm the prize. No, I'm the prize. No, I'm the prize. And anybody with a grain of common sense knows if you come to any relationship with that I'm the prize mentality, whether you're a man or a woman, your relationship ain't gonna fucking last. Or you just not gonna be in a relationship at all. And they'd be like, well, men are important. No, women are important. And the shit sounds stupid because we need each other to balance shit out. Think about this. Every person on this earth came from between the legs of a woman. So I respect the divine feminine for that. On the other hand, the infrastructure of the world was built by men. So you have the importance of a woman, and then you have the importance of a man, and we need both. But you know what? You got all these platforms with all these motherfuckers saying all this shit, all these YouTube platforms and the news and all that shit talking about, oh, we don't need men, and then men are like, we don't need women, and then they sexualizing children and motherfucking they bringing the LGBT motherfuckers in it, and then you got men that want to be women and women that want to be men, and it's spiraling out of control right now. All because you got all these platforms and shit that are suggested to us in the public. All these platforms that tell us, that program us to think this way. The majority of people don't have an original mindset. They only fucking spout out shit that they hear from YouTube or the news because they're not intelligent enough to think for themselves. I mean, this gender war between men and women is ridiculous. And ultimately, it's leaving people unhappy, and it's leaving people sadness, and hell, it's even making people commit suicide. Let's keep it real. Because ever since this shit with, women's talking about being independent and I don't need no man and all that, I'm like, cut the shit. We all need love. We all need somebody. And when you walk around with your chest out, boasting about how you don't need a man and all of that shit, It's basically just reflecting the fact that you're alone, that you're lonely, you know? So when you get hit with that, oh girl, you don't need him, oh girl, oh niggas ain't shit, men ain't shit, blah 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 blah. You know what that's doing? That's really fucking showing how depressed they are. And that reflects on the high amounts of antidepressant pills that are being given to women this day and age. It's higher than it's ever been in the history of mankind. And they take all these depression pills because they're anesthetizing themselves in their minds to think that they don't need nobody. When we all need somebody, we all crave somebody, man or woman, man or woman. I don't give a fuck who you are. We all desire somebody to be in our corner. And if you say you don't, you a motherfucking liar. So everybody out here fooling themselves with that I don't need nobody shit. You know? And then they're breaking up the families. They're confusing the children. You know, men are men are basically being thrown to the wayside as being useless now. It's fucking crazy, you know. And the reason it's a war, a gender war between us like that, is basically so certain companies and certain people can make money off of single people. So these goddamn I put it like this: if I was an investor, I would be investing in cat food, I'd be investing in boxed wine, I'd be investing in antidepressant pills. You know what I'm saying? Because that's basically what it is, man. All these motherfuckers are making a killing off of single people and people that don't have families and people that don't have partners. It's certain people that are making money off of single people, off of depressed people. It ain't that we don't need each other, because we do need each other. Why is it so hard why is it so hard for people to admit that shit? Why are people such egomaniacs now? You know? I will never understand that shit. And if it keeps going this way, the population is going to dwindle down to a handful. It's going to be a whole bunch of goddamn kids without fathers that are confused as hell. And the family structure will be a thing of the past. Being married will be a thing of the past. Being a couple will be a thing of the past. All because everybody want to be hyper independent and think that they shit don't stink. When they know deep down that that they're wrong. So all I gotta say between men and women, stop making it weird. It's a reason why the male and female structure was the way that it was back in the day. It's a reason for that. And y'all decided to undo that structure in the 21st century, and now look at us as a people. Confused as hell, depressed as hell. Children are suffering, and ultimately we're all in society suffering. All because of this shit. I just had to fucking talk about that for a minute. It's your boy Doc G out. Holla.